Live from the tank on the campus of the College of Staten Island, you're watching exclusive women's basketball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet. Tonight, in their final regular season game of the year, the College of Staten Island will go for their 20th win of the year as they take on the Yeshiva University Maccabees. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Babuski along with Dave Pizzuto. And Dave, another very successful season for the women's Dolphin team. They're taking on Yeshiva University here tonight in their final regular season game. But everything is now preparatory to get them ready for the CUNYAC tournament, which will begin for the ladies Dolphins team next Wednesday night.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. The Dolphins earned themselves a quarterfinal postseason bye, so they will await a quarterfinal winner in their turn in the CUNY tournament. And, of course, as you mentioned, it starts next week. On Wednesday of next week, a familiar place for the Dolphins, City College of New York, semifinal play. They've been there just about every year since forever. And this year the Dolphins are doing it, Mike, with the added moxie of being the defending CUNYAC champs, but with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, Mike, because they'll walk in as the number 2 seed for the tournament after placing obviously 19-5 overall, but 13-3 in the conference. And, Mike, of course, those 3 losses, 2 of them were by forfeit. So the record on your screen for the Dolphins, 19-5, but really the NCAA views them as 21-3. So by all accounts, Mike, it's been a super season for the Dolphins. One of their best seasons of all time when you think about it win-loss wise. And they're primed for a good, spirited postseason run. And, of course, they'll have to get through Yeshiva here tonight in a game. Like you said, that'll be very preparatory in nature, a chance to keep the Dolphins sharp going into next week's postseason.
And, you know, Dave, you look at the way the Lady Dolphins finished the regular season last year. They had actually had themselves in first place in the conference before dropping their 2 final regular season games of the year to Lehman and Brooklyn College. This year going in just the opposite way, coming in having won 3 games in a row, including big wins on the road against Brooklyn and Lehman College.
Yeah, and I remember you and I covered that CSI versus Brooklyn regular season game that was played here at CSI. The Dolphins fell behind by 29 points. They almost came all the way back, but they ended up losing. And we said at the end of that broadcast that really that the game by a bigger standard really didn't mean much because the Dolphins would get another crack at Brooklyn. It would be on the road at their place. It would be a chance for the Dolphins to send a message, and a message they did send, Mike. They won by 17 points against Brooklyn, really put them in prime position for a postseason run. They took care of Lehman in the final game of the season to secure the number 2 spot, for sure, without having to use tiebreakers. So, it's been a really good finish for the Dolphins, and of course, they're heavily favored against Yeshiva here tonight. But it's a chance for them to go in, like we said, on a high note, playing well, a full head of steam before next week. But you're right, Mike. They couldn't have asked for a stronger finish to this 2017-18 year.
And, you know, Dave, you look at this CSI Dolphin team, obviously led by all CUNYAC player Christina Passatoro. Passatoro with a fantastic senior year, Dave, finishing well over 100 points higher than the nearest CUNYAC scorer.
Yeah, absolutely. And she broke the CSI scoring record. She broke the CUNY 3-point scoring record this season. She's well over 2,000 points. She basically is trailing Lauren Cargill for second all-time ever. It doesn't look like she'll catch Lauren, but still, by all accounts, just a phenomenal career for Christina Passatoro. She's going to be honored tomorrow by the CUNY Athletic Conference as a CUNY All-Star. CUNY hasn't released, obviously, who their Player of the Year is, but obviously you'd think that Christina is going to be one of the biggest vote getters. And Mike, her supporting cast has really been good, especially in these last couple of weeks. Samantha Flecker has been as hot as a pistol, and you could make the argument that over the last 2 weeks of the season, she's been the best CSI player on the floor. She's double digits in scoring, double digits in rebounding over these last few games. And Victoria Cray, Mike, surprisingly, putting up a lot of points these last couple of weeks of the season, averaging well above double digits in that category. So, she's doing a fine job as well. Christina's getting a lot of support. And, Mike, if you're an opponent of CSI down the stretch. That's got to concern you a little bit.
Yeah, and Dave, Christina a little banged up the last couple of games. With that, with a little bit of a twinge in her shoulder, and as you mentioned, it was really Victoria Cray and Samantha Flecker really stepping up big, and Angelique Price, who missed a couple of games, had a pretty good game as well against Lehman College.
Yeah, definitely, and they need that as well. I mean, we've said it a bunch of times, Mike. We've covered the Dolphins, during their postseason runs of the past, and we always know it comes down to a supporting cast member who really stands up and has a really good game. In last year's CUNY championship, it was Angelique Price. If you remember, both the CSI and Brooklyn teams were really struggling from the floor in that championship game, and it was Angelique Price that really hit a couple of big threes that really made the difference. So, good things to think about when you're thinking about this CSI team down the stretch. They have a good supporting cast, and Mike, even a player like Rosa Perone has been doing really well these last couple of games off the bench.
Yeah, she really has, Dave, and this is a Dolphin team that has really been gearing up for the CUNYAC championship really since the season ended last year in the NCAA tournament, and the Dolphins seem to be going into the postseason in pretty good shape, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could have a little bit of a winning streak going. Remember, without thinking about those forfeits, Dolphins are on a really big winning streak at this point, Mike. Really 8 games that they've won, and they've won 13 out of their last 14 games. Their only blemish, of course, was to Brooklyn College, a game that they've already avenged. So the Dolphins are really playing very, very well. They're getting contributions everywhere. Their defense has been good. Their shooting has gotten better. And we know that the CUNY tournament, once it starts, everybody's 0-0. Everybody walks in confident. Everybody has an equal chance. But, Mike, all signs pointing for the Dolphins being a very competitive team over these next 10 days or so. The CUNY Conference Championship will be decided.
And, Dave, you look back at their last game, an 81-71 win against Lehman College. It was a game that the Dolphins, pulled out in the first quarter. And, Lehman did a pretty good job of keeping it close through the half. But the one concerning thing that I think Tim Shanahan would come out of that game with is the fact that the Dolphins did turn the ball over 31 times in that game against Lehman College.
Yeah, and the thing is, they've been turning the ball over a lot, have the Dolphins, and I think that's a product of just the speed at which that they play. And, the Dolphins have so many positives to their game, Mike, that sometimes they can commit 30 turnovers, and it'll be masked by the fact that they're forcing a lot or they're doing a good job rebounding. And that's really been the difference. In the game against Lehman, they really rebounded the ball well. And, Mike, in the game against Brooklyn especially, when they played here at the Sports and Rec Center, Brooklyn out-rebounded CSI 58-29. I mean, that's a double up, and Brooklyn had just as many offensive rebounds as CSI had total rebounds. Well, CSI flipped the script in the game at Brooklyn. They did a great job rebounding, and that masked the fact that the Dolphins were a little bit careless with the basketball. Same thing against Lehman. They had a lot of turnovers, but they were able to rebound the ball. They were able to rebound the ball better. If you're Tim Shanahan, if you're the CSI coaching staff, the one thing that you want to do is you want to be able to put it all together for the playoffs, protect the basketball and rebound well. Dolphins haven't really been able to do that a lot this season. They're hoping that these next 10 days yield some positive results.
And as we start to turn our attention, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of chance, Dave, to talk about it during the game here tonight, the 2 men's games to take place will be on Saturday, the quarterfinal games, including a home game for the CSI Dolphins.
Yeah, CSI will be facing off against Brooklyn College, a team that they beat twice already. 5:30 start right here at the Sports and Recreation Center. We'll have it live for you on CSI Sportsnet. Should be a really good time. The Dolphins are also the returning champs, and they're looking to punch their ticket to the semifinals. Should be a good one.
And the Lady Dolphin team will not have to play again until the semifinal round, which will take place on Wednesday evening. The Dolphins will play in the late game against the winner of the Lehman Baruch College game that will take place this Sunday afternoon, and we'll have plenty of chance to go over the entire tournament, the brackets, and the scheduling throughout the broadcast here this afternoon as the Dolphins get ready to take on the Maccabees here this afternoon. And the Maccabees coming into the game really struggling, a program that still kind of in the developmental stage, and they come in here to the tank tonight with a record of 4-18 on the season overall. And, you look at some common opponents for the teams, and it's really going to be an uphill battle for a Maccabee team coming in today. Just 3 senior players on the roster and a lot of freshman players in the developmental stage. So the Maccabees will come in here tonight, and the Dolphins should be able to work on a couple of things they want to do here this evening. As again, everything building up to the game between the Dolphins and their semifinal opponent that will be coming up here this Wednesday night at the Nat Holman Gymnasium. And stay tuned to CSI Sportsnet for some possible broadcast information regarding the semifinal and final tournament. And we previously mentioned the Dolphins coming in with a very strong season under their belt, looking for their 20th regular season win here this afternoon. So why don't we step aside? We'll take our first break of the evening, and then we'll be back and get you ready for the start of tonight's game. It's the Dolphins and the Maccabees right here on your voice of everything, CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
One-on-One is an independently owned and operated physical therapy center since 1999.
One-on-One has multiple offices located in Staten Island and in Brooklyn.
One-on-One has been getting people back to living pain-free for almost 14 years.
The number one goal of One-on-One is to provide quality health care for our community and continue to strive to be the best in our field.
One-on-One physical therapy gets our clients back to work, back to play, and back to function as soon as possible. We help them reclaim their life.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do.
Yeah, but I don't know where to start. That's why we're here. We're free, handsome,
I think we're breathtaking.
and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. I got this. Is that Bran? Colleges love extracurricular activities.
Chess really isn't my thing.
I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together. Go to GetSchooled.com for more info.
We're back, and we're edging closer to the start of tonight's game between the College of Staten Island and Yeshiva University. And, Dave, you're looking at this YU team coming in with a record of 4-18 overall. It's been a struggle for them here in this 2017-18 season. Just 3 senior players on the team, a lot of freshmen. And, you look through this Maccabee lineup and their statistics throughout the year. They've struggled a little bit. They get outscored by almost 27 points a game, Dave, and they've also struggled rebounding the basketball. So it's a Maccabee team that's in the developmental stage and should be a good opportunity here for the Dolphins tonight to work on the things they want to prepare for next Wednesday night.
Yeah, and maybe just a chance for them to slow things down a little bit as far as the Dolphins are concerned. The Dolphins are a high-scoring team. They're an offensive team. And if you're Yeshiva, you're not necessarily coming into this game thinking that you're going to win the game by 15, 20 points. You want to stay involved. You want to stay competitive. You want to stay in the game and basically give yourself a chance at the end to put a scare into the Dolphins. And if CSI gets comfortably ahead, we know that their reserves are going to come into the game. And that's the time for Yeshiva to really get some damage done.
Dave, it's been a season of high expectation for the CSI Dolphin team. They had come off of their CUNYAC championship last year and, did a pretty good job playing in the NCAA tournament. But, for the Dolphins this year, Dave, it really is a question of them to get back to where they were before and hopefully to do some damage in the tournament. And for a team that came in with all these high expectations, they seem to handle them very well and had a very good regular season this year.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike, and that's what you want. I mean, this Dolphins team is a team that's won a championship now. They've been knocking on the door since forever. After 12 years, they finally got themselves a win, and now they have to defend it.
And, Dave, we're going in and we're looking at this CSI Dolphin team, and, they came into the season and you wondered if they would be able to rebound the basketball enough, and they've been able to out-rebound their opponents on the year by almost 5.5 rebounds a year. You knew that this team could score, but yet they've only allowed teams to score 53 points against them, a scoring margin differential of nearly 25 points a game. And, this team really has done the things they need to do throughout the season. And then, another thing you like, Dave, is that you look at Christina Passatoro's minutes. Only 33 minutes a game. She's not playing 40 minutes a game anymore. So they've been able to rest players, take players in and out of the lineup, and they're really going into the tournament playing pretty good basketball.
Yeah, absolutely, and they made a conscious effort. To try and get better at giving their starters some rest. About easing into the the postseason, so that the Dolphins aren't necessarily gassed when they get there. So hopefully the Dolphins have given their starters plenty of rest. Their marquee players are only averaging, like you said, just over 30 a game. In the games that matter, they're going the distance, 38 and 40 minutes at a clip. But for the games like this, where they've been comfortably ahead, we've seen players like Passatoro and Flecker play 18, 20, 24 minutes, and that's a welcome break for a lot of these kids.
Yeah, and you look up and down this Dolphin roster, and the team has gotten a little bit deeper, Dave. They've gotten a lot of production off of their bench this year, and now with both Jackie Callie and Angelique Price back in the lineup, Tim Shanahan can play the rotation any way he wants throughout the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to be at full speed, too, and at full capacity, Mike, going into the postseason because, although the Dolphins have been relatively healthy in the past, there have been some years where they've been banged up, and that's usually how the season goes. The longer you go, the more bumps and bruises you have, the more players that you have that are not able to go at full speed. But, for this Dolphins team, they're going in probably the healthiest maybe that they've been all year long. They got Jackie Callie back. She now has a couple of games under her feet. They lost Angelique Price, due to unfortunate reasons, Mike. But maybe those 4 or 5 games off really, proved to be a good refresher for her. And like you said, now that the CUNY regular season is done, the Dolphins can treat this game to just kind of perfect their craft and go in with a good head of steam. And hopefully we see the Dolphins at their best in just a few days.
So we're just a couple of minutes away from the start of tonight's game. We'll take one final break, and then we'll be back for the starting lineups and the start of tonight's game between the College of Staten Island and Yeshiva University. It's the final regular season home game right at the Tank as you're watching CSI Women's Basketball right here on your voice of CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
One-on-One is an independently owned and operated physical therapy center since 1999.
One-on-One has multiple offices located in Staten Island and in Brooklyn.
One-on-One has been getting people back to living pain-free for almost 14 years.
The number one goal of One-on-One is to provide quality health care for our community and continue to strive to be the best in our field.
One-on-one physical therapy gets our clients back to work, back to play, and back to function as soon as possible. We help them reclaim their life.
Our Alvin and the Chipmunks want to remind you, bacteria can hide in food and make you ill.
Wow.
But you can keep bacteria from ruining your day with 4 simple steps. Clean.
I'm waiting for the rinse cycle.
Separate. Cook.
Fire in the hole!
And chill.
We chipmunks are notoriously tidy.
Check your steps. The road trip to food safety starts at foodsafety.gov.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
We're back, and we're just moments away from the start of tonight's game between the College of Staten Island and Yeshiva University. The College of Staten Island looking to win their 20th game here to wrap up the regular season as they get ready for the semifinals round of the CUNYAC tournament that will begin this Wednesday evening. The Dolphins will play at 8 o'clock. So while the Maccabees are being introduced out on the floor, why don't we bring you tonight's starting lineups? And here to bring you those lineups, my broadcast partner, Dave Pizzuto. Dave?
All right, thank you, Mike. And for the Maccabees, they will go with number 15, Lindsay Brandwine. Number 24 is Celia Cohen. Number 55 is Mikel Algi. Number 3 is Nicole Bick, their leading scorer. And number 5 is Adina Rosenberg. Those are your starters for Yeshiva. They're coached by Michael Alon. And for the CSI Dolphins, you see on their screen now, they will go a familiar lineup in numerical order. The senior, number 2, Christina Passatoro, starts things off. Then it's the sophomore, Diana Tadaro, number 13. Number 14, Victoria Cray, who we spoke very highly of in the pregame. Number 24, Jacqueline Calley, a return to the lineup after missing 5 games due to injury. And then, of course, you have number 31, Samantha Flecker, playing so great over these last few games, Mike. And, of course, CSI coached by Tim Shanahan, the reigning coach of the year from a season ago.
And you look at this CSI Dolphin team, they have not lost out on the floor since January 17th. And, you know, back before that, you got to go back another 5 games to December 29th before the Dolphins lost another game. So Dolphins playing very well coming into tonight's game, looking for their 20th win. Dave, what are the keys for the Dolphins here tonight to win their 20th game?
All right, Mike. So the keys to the game for me, Mike, are pretty simple. The first one is, make it count. Basically, we all know this is just a test for the playoffs, but treat it like your playoff game, at least the first quarter, the first 2 quarters. Make it count. This is the last chance that you have to make an impression before the playoffs. And number 2 is, Mike, the Dolphins are a very aggressive team, especially defensively, but they have gotten into foul trouble at times. So you want to be aggressive, but you also want to be smart about how you're using your body, how aggressive you're playing defense. And, of course, Mike, the one thing that is going to make a big difference in the community championship is how well you shoot free throws. We've seen the Dolphins with a lot of ebbs and flows in their free throw shooting game. When Yeshiva puts you on the line, make the free ones count.
And, Dave, we should mention that we had initially said the Dolphins healthy going into tonight's game, but Angelique Price won't be in the lineup tonight as the Dolphins control the opening tip and Passatoro lays it up and in.
Yeah, Dolphins have the lead just a couple of seconds into this one as they're able to take the opening tip right down to the hole.
So Passatoro continues to build on her all-time scoring lead. And, Dave, there's been a lot of great basketball plays as that first shot by the Maccabees is up and no good. And, one thing that Yeshiva has demonstrated an ability to do, and you can see they have size on the court, is rebound the basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, always been an Achilles heel for this Dolphins team. They're never going to be the bigger team on the floor, so they got to make up for it with other things. And there's a nice scoop to the hoop by Nicole Bick.
Yeah, so Bick gets the Maccabees' first basket of the game, and we're tied at 2. As Cray brings the ball down and gets the ball over in the corner to Callie, as her pass is going to be knocked away and stolen. And Dolphins turn the ball over, Dave. We mentioned the Dolphins did struggle with turnovers in their last couple of games against Brooklyn and Lehman College.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be something that Tim Shanahan is really going to pay attention to here in this game. He wants to see his Dolphins be clean with the basketball.
As Cray misses the layup, Bick comes right back down the floor. The ball will be knocked out of bounds, but it'll remain Maccabee basketball with 24 to shoot.
Mike, we should mention, too, that this game was added to the schedule only a couple of weeks ago, of course, due to the fact that the Dolphins lost a game earlier this season to New Jersey City University very early in the season. So as a makeup, Yeshiva was able to play this one, and I think everybody at CSI, Mike, is grateful for Yeshiva for being able to put us on their schedule so late in the year.
Yeah, it's a good game for the Dolphins to play. Otherwise, Dave, they would have had quite a long layoff in between games.
Yep, that's another good point because every CUNY school played yesterday, Mike, with the exception of the Dolphins. They just had rotten luck. They drew a bye on the last date of the season for play, but not their fault, nobody's fault really, as the Dolphins turn the ball over again.
Yeah, so the second turnover of the game for the Dolphins as Bick puts up a running one-hander in the lane. That shot is no good. The rebound grabbed by Flecker, and she'll be fouled in the backcourt, as that time it's Lindsey Brandwine with the foul, the first foul of the game.
Yeah, it's a good job by Flecker to box out, see it through, get her rebound there, and Brandwine just tried way too hard to try and strip that one away.
Flecker gets the ball out over to Passatoro. Passatoro's long three-pointer is good, so Passatoro with the first 7 points for the Dolphins.
And Mike, we don't often see Christina Passatoro left that wide open with a good second and a half to just look at it and shoot. And that time, she was given the space, she was given the time, made it hurt.
Yeah, and Dave, you could see in the game against Brooklyn especially, she really was struggling with her shooting, especially her outside shot. She looks a lot more free-flowing here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, if CSI is going to be successful, Christina Passatoro is going to have to step up and be a big scorer, and so is that young lady, Samantha Flecker. She nails the three-point goal.
Yeah, and Dave, you talk about a player that's had a great 4-year career for the Dolphins, and that's Samantha Flecker. And, she's a player that really has sacrificed a lot of her offense, Dave, to fit in within the team concept. And she's led the team in rebounding the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, and you know what? As she takes another three, that's just a little bit off. Looks like scramble for the ball. Callie gets to it.
As Christina puts up her three-pointer, that's her first miss of the game, and Tadero's there to grab the rebound, and she'll draw the foul.
Yeah, but getting back to Flecker, Mike, when you think about it and you look at how sparsely she played her freshman year, and you see, 1,300 career points, 700 career rebounds, a couple of hundred career steals. Really, 90% of that, Mike, has only been done the last 3 years. So just such impressive numbers that rival really anyone else's in the conference, maybe save for Passatoro.
Yeah, so Tadero hits the first. She'll have one more upcoming as she hits the second, and the Dolphins get out to an early 8-point lead.
Yeah, so the Dolphins so far in control and putting up 12 points and 2 for 2 from the free throw line here in the early stages and first 3+ minutes.
And it's the Maccabees with the ball now as Bick looks to head toward the baseline. She's stripped away as Tadero comes away with the steal and gets the ball off to Cray. Cray to Flecker over to Passatoro. She puts up the three. That one is no good, but a nice job by Callie to save the ball, and the Dolphins have 15 to shoot. Cray with the basketball. She looks to feed it inside. Instead, it's going to be knocked away. It'll remain Dolphin basketball with 10 seconds to shoot.
Yeah, good job by Algie that time underneath to interrupt that pass. It was going to be intended for Callie. She would have had a nice clean layup underneath, but Algie got in the way of that and interrupted the pass.
So Cray inbounds the basketball. She gets it over to Passatoro. Her jumper is up no good, and the rebound grabbed by Brandwine. And here come the Maccabees with the basketball, trailing by 8. Bick out behind the three-point line. Now they feed the ball inside to Brandwine. Brandwine hands the ball off, and the floater in the lane is up no good, but we're going to have a whistle and an offensive foul. That'll be on Mikal Algie, and that's the third team foul for the Maccabees.
And after they make the official call, it'll be Perrone coming in for Tadero.
Rosa Perot coming in, and, you know, Dave, when she's playing well, it really adds a lot to the Dolphins. She's their biggest player, and, you know, she's able to post up, and the Dolphins really need her to rebound, especially against some of these bigger CUNYAC teams.
Yep, and she's going to get the pass here, kicks it out.
As that three-pointer attempt is up no good by Flecker. And It's the Maccabees with the rebound.
But you're right, Mike. Perrone has been playing well as of late, and I think that's why she's getting some early minutes here.
As that ball is deflected away, and here come the Dolphins as Flecker feeds it ahead to Passatoro. Her layup is up no good, and the rebound's going to be grabbed there by Rosenberg. It's going to be knocked out of bounds, but it'll remain YU basketball with 5:24 remaining here in the first.
Christina's 3 for 7 from the floor so far, Mike, and Yeshiva as a team just 2 for 7. So Christina's letting them fly early.
Rosenberg with the basketball. She gets the ball up over now to Algie. Algie feeding it up over to Brandwine. Her shot is up no good. Flecker grabs the rebound. Passes ahead of the field to Callie. She drives down the lane, lays it up and in, and draws the foul.
Yeah, beautiful job that time by Callie, who had just a little bit of hesitation before she put that one up, was able to draw contact and still steady herself for the good layup. So great job there by Jackie, who, as we mentioned, missed some time due to injury. Dolphins really grateful to have her back.
Celia Cohn picks up the personal. That's her first. 14 fouls already for YU. As the Dolphins missed the free throw, and now Bick will bring the ball up slowly across the midcourt line. She pulls up. The long three is no good. Fleck is there for the rebound. Feeding it to Passatoro, who drives down the lane and misses the layup. She's able to get her own rebound, but she didn't reestablish position, so it'll be YU basketball.
Yeah, Dolphins struggling a little bit here from in close. And Passatoro has now missed her last 4 shots. As you see the shooting numbers on your screen.
Yeah, so the Dolphins shooting 41% here in the early going. YU at 25 as they work the ball in the corner, and the baseline jumper by Algie is good.
Yeah, good bit of passing there for Yeshiva. They're able to find the open Algie there for an 8-footer and makes it count.
Flecker with the basketball now. She feeds the ball out over to Callie. Now back to Flecker, around to Cray. Cray's first three-pointer of the game is up no good. And the rebound grabbed by Algie, and YU has the basketball and a chance to cut into that 8-point Dolphin lead. Bick driving down the lane. Her floater is up no good, and Flecker there for another rebound. It's a third rebound of the game, Dave, or a fourth actually, as that layup is up and in, and Dolphins open the lead back up to 10. Passatoro with 9.
Yeah, Passatoro with 9. Like you mentioned, that time buried it. Another quick moving and developing play that time off the Yeshiva miss.
Ball worked into to Brandwine, and her shot is up and good. And YU staying in the game down 8, but the Dolphins able to come right back and score that basket. So they're going to take a 10-point lead. We'll have a 30-second timeout, Dave. So we'll take it right here. Dolphins come out. They were up by 10 in a game that they've gotten out into an early lead.
Yeah, and really what's hurting Yeshiva right now is the speed for the Dolphins. I mean, they're just running up the floor, especially in transition, at just too quick of a pace for Yeshiva to catch up. And the Dolphins' last 3 or 4 baskets have been strictly right underneath the hoop, and they've missed a couple as well. So Dolphins are finding it easy to get penetration inside, and that's because they're just getting back to the offensive end faster than Yeshiva could get back. So up comfortable here, 10 points, and head coach Michael Elon wants to talk things over with his group and get them a little bit of rest. As you see the turnovers, Mike, at one point it was 2-1 in favor of Yeshiva, but they've turned the ball over now 4 straight times.
Yeah, so YU started to turn the ball over a little bit, and the Dolphins have themselves a 10-point lead. And Why doing a pretty nice job here so far in the first quarter, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely, and their shot has been there. They've missed fire on a couple, but good mid-range game so far.
As that baseline jumper is going to be short, a fight for the rebound as Passatoro will go to the floor with Penny Rabin, who's just checked into the game for the Maccabees. So on the jump ball, the possession will go to Yeshiva University.
Yeah, and Rabin had just checked into the game too, Mike, so she gets on the floor early and forces a jump ball.
Why are you looking for somewhere to go with the basketball? Good pressure by the Dolphins. A couple of Maccabees collide, and Cray comes away with the basketball. Cray looking to drive down the lane. Her shot is up, no good, but Flecker is there to grab her fifth rebound. Back to Passatoro. That shot is short, and Algie there for the rebound. Approaching 3 minutes remaining here in this first quarter. Dolphins with a 10-point lead, 18-8. Algie is going to get called for the travel, so why are you starting to turn the ball over a little bit more, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to, that hurts. When you're a team that statistically or on paper, Mike, is overmatched, you have to protect the basketball. And Yeshiva right now with 7 turnovers to the Dolphins 2. And you obviously know we go by quarters here, so they're on pace for in the high 20s to the 30 range.
Dolphins also outscoring YU 10-2 in points in the paint as now Perone will put up the shot, and she will draw the foul.
And somehow, some way, Mike, as you see Flecker's numbers on your screen, somehow, some way, the 5'1" Penny Rabin drew Rosa Perone down low. CSI recognized the mismatch.
So Rosa going to the free throw line here for the Dolphins and makes the first. Rosa now 19 of 48 from the line, so shooting just about 40% after that first make. As she misses the second, but Nicole and Bessie there to grab the rebound. Nicole checking into the game for the Dolphins as she joins Rosa Perone off the bench with 3 Dolphin starters as the Dolphins now make their third turnover of the evening. Boltack's wild shot is up, no good. It's going to be knocked out of bounds, but it'll be Dolphin basketball. Dolphins with their biggest lead of the game now, 11 points.
Yeah, and if you're Yeshiva, you just got to kind of settle down a little bit. I mean, that time, that shot by Boltex was just too rushed. She had a chance to kind of set her feet, dribble, stop, and shoot. She chose not to do that.
As the Dolphins turn the ball over, driving the ball in the lane is Rosenberg. Her shot is up, no good. But the Maccabees able to control the offensive rebound and get the ball back over to Algie. Algie handing the ball off to Boltax. And that jumper that time by Brandwine is no good, but another offensive rebound for YU. And now they hit the outside jumper as that's Penny Rabin.
Yeah, it's a 2-pointer. There was some confusion. The officials wanted to get it right, and they did. So it's 19-10. Rabin has been all over the court since she's checked in. My couple of big offensive rebounds and made that one count from just inside the arc.
So 19-10 now. The Dolphin lead down to 9 points as Megan McEwen also checking into the game for the Dolphins.
McEwen replaced Cray.
They get the ball out over to Passatoro. She feeds it over to Mbessi. Mbessi over to Flecker. The Dolphins still with 10 to shoot. As that outside jumper by McEwen is up, no good, and the rebound's going to be grabbed by Brandwine. YU with the basketball, down 9 with 1:26 remaining here in this first quarter. Algie with the basketball. Algie driving down the lane, and a floater is up and good, so YU cutting the Dolphin lead down to 7.
Yeah, that time the CSI Dolphins kind of gave up too much space there, and Algie was able to make it hurt.
Passatoro's shot is up, no good. She grabs her own rebound, feeds it back to Flecker. Her three-point shot is no good. Passatoro grabs the rebound, and she's going to draw the foul. And Dolphins missing a couple of shots on their last few possessions, Dave.
Well, I was going to say, Mike, the Dolphins, it's not like their three-point looks have not been open looks. They have been open looks, and the Dolphins right now, 2 for 10 from beyond the arc. I mean, Dolphins do shoot a lot of threes. They normally don't take 40 a game. As you see, they're doing most of their damage, Mike, in the paint, 10-4. And but really, Mike, the three-point shooting is something that the Dolphins need to be there when they start this tournament. That's if you hear some of their players say they live and die by the three-pointer, and 2 for 10, Mike, that's a number that they want to improve on.
So Passatoro splits her free throws. The Dolphins now 4 of 7 from the line, and their lead is 8. Algie working the ball out over in the corner to Rabin. It's going to be knocked out of bounds. It'll remain YU basketball. 47.1 seconds in the quarter, 18 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, the Yeshiva here just a basket or two away from making this a pretty contested contest so far. The Dolphins just not shooting the ball that well. Yeshiva has actually passed the Dolphins in field goal percentage.
Rabin working the ball up over now to Bick. Bick with 5 seconds on the shot clock. YU needs to get a shot up. Algie puts up the jumper and buries it. So late in the shot clock, YU cuts the Dolphin lead now down to 6.
Yeah, Dolphins giving space on the perimeter and Yeshiva taking advantage. Algie with contested by the shot clock, puts it up, hits it.
McEwen out by the three-point line. She looked to get the ball up over, and now Flecker will pick up the first foul of the game for the Dolphins with just 11.3 seconds remaining in the corner, but YU with the basketball and an opportunity to cut into a 6-point Dolphin lead.
Yeah, give credit to Penny Rabin, all 5'1" of her, interrupting the pass that Megan McEwen tried to get over into the paint and then earns the foul.
As Bick drives down the lane, misses the shot, Dolphins with the basketball with 2 seconds remaining. They get it up over to Flecker. That'll count if it goes, but it's no good. 10 minutes in the book, the Dolphins have led by as many as 11. They go into the bench, leading by 6, 20-14. So 1 quarter in the books. We'll step aside, take a break. Dolphins lead 20-14. You're watching women's basketball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet, and we'll be right back.
One-on-One is an independently owned and operated physical therapy center since 1999.
One-on-One has multiple offices located in Staten Island and in Brooklyn.
One-on-One has been getting people back to living pain-free for almost 14 years.
The number one goal of One-on-One is to provide quality health care for our community and continue to strive to be the best in our field.
One-on-one physical therapy gets our clients back to work, back to play, and back to function as soon as possible. We help them reclaim their life.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids.
We're back, 1 quarter in the books. The Dolphins lead 20-14, and why are you doing a good job, Dave, in that first quarter?
Yeah, they hit a couple of tough jumpers from the outside. I think, Mike, if they actually settle down offensively, they can work their half-court offense a little bit as Christina Passatoro picks up really where she started in the first quarter with a 3.
Yeah, Christina hit her first 3 shots, Dave, before missing a whole group of shots, but comes out and starts the second quarter with a 3-pointer to open the Dolphin lead back up to 9. Christina with 10 of the 23 Dolphin points.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I don't know. I think her stats are a little off, Mike, at least from these that we're seeing, because that was her second 3-pointer. They have her as 1 for 4 from 3-point range. So they're going to work on that. I know on the scoreboard they have her with 13. So we'll go with the higher number. So we'll say 13 for Christina. But yeah, Mike, that's a figure that the Dolphins need. They need Christina to score, and she's taken 12 shots. She's hit on 5. Great 2 for 5 so far from the line. Great start here to the second, and the Dolphins are back up by 9.
So it's Rosenberg with the basketball as she looks to work against McEwen, and she gets the ball out over to Bick. Bick able to drive in down the lane. Her shot is up, no good. The putback that time is going to be grabbed by Celia Cohn. She misses the shot but draws the foul. So Dolphins went almost a full quarter without drawing a foul, Dave, and has picked up 2 personals in the last 40 seconds. And we're going to have a 30-second timeout here taken by head coach Tim Shanahan.
Yeah, obviously didn't like the fact that the Dolphins gave up kind of an uncontested layup and then failed to get the rebound and then fouled on the putback. So You take a look at the rebound situation. It's very even at this point in the game. And again, the Dolphins are not going to win a lot of rebounding wars against anybody. It's just not how they're made up, but they'll have to compensate for that with turnovers, and they've done a pretty good job there. And that time, just a simple failure to box out, and Tim Shanahan wants to reinforce from his team that that's something that they need to focus on.
So it's going to be Yeshiva University going to the free throw line, trailing by just 9 here with 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here in this first half. The final regular season home game for the Dolphins, a late addition to the schedule as the Dolphins look to pick up win number 20 as that first free throw is up and no good. As Cone misses the first, she'll have one more upcoming. Celia, a 44% free throw shooter. She splits the pair, and it's now a 23-15 Dolphin lead. Pass to Toro over to Flecker. Dolphins work the ball inside now as Flecker working the ball in the corner. The open three-pointer by McEwen is good, so Mega gets her first basket of the game, and the Dolphins match their biggest lead.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good shot there, good open look. Nice job of ball distribution, and Megan McEwen on the register.
So now it's YU with the basketball. The pass inside is going to be knocked away by Callie. And here comes Callie off the feed from Flecker. That shot is up no good. And the rebound's going to be grabbed by Rosenberg. And here comes Bick. Bick looking to work 1-on-1 against Mbesi, and she's able to lay it up and in. Nice move that time by the junior guard.
Yeah, from Edison, New Jersey. Just a really dynamic player, Mike, going really up and down the floor. She's been good, and you see Yeshiva's only attempted the one three-point shot. The Dolphins have been holding their own in that area. But Yeshiva able to stick around, Mike, with their ability to get to the basket.
So it'll be McEwen to inbound the basketball here for the Dolphins. She gets the ball inside to Flecker, and she lays it up and in. So Flecker gets her second basket. She has 5.
Yeah, absolutely. For Flecker, she nailed the 3 earlier. That time's her first 2-point basket.
As we have a couple of bodies going to the ground, but it's YU and Rosenberg coming away with the basketball, but her pass is going to be stolen. As the Dolphins get the ball off the turnover, they feed it into Callie, who lays it up and in, and Dolphins, since the YU cut the lead down to 4, have gone on a 10-3 run.
Yeah, and that's
or 6. Sorry, Dave.
No, I was going to say that's where the Dolphins are at their best, Mike, in transition, off of turnovers, able to narrow it down low, and that time Algie with a nice response down low against Mbesi, a chance to make a 3-point play.
So Algie, a 5'6" senior, will go to the free throw line and try to cut the Dolphin lead down to 10 as Victoria Cray is going to check back into the game, and she'll replace Megan McEwen. If you look at the fast break points, 15-2 in favor of the Dolphins. That free throw is up and in, so the 3-point play is completed, and the Dolphin lead now goes down to 10.
And Algie now with 11 points.
Passatoro puts up that 3-pointer. That's no good. Dolphins keep the ball alive, and Bessie grabs the rebound, and now the Dolphins with another possession. And Bessie over to Cray. She puts up the 3-pointer. That's no good, but the Dolphins able to grab another rebound as Samantha Flecker has rebounded the basketball for the 6th time here tonight. Beautiful feed inside to Callie, who lays it up and in.
Yeah, that pass has been there, Mike, tonight, and that time a great job by Victoria Cray to find Jackie all alone down low.
32-20 now. The Dolphins in control by 12. They nearly forced a turnover, but YU makes a nice play to get the ball back as Bick drives down the lane and lays it up and in, and she now has 6.
Yep, so Bick cuts it to 10.
And the Dolphins turn the ball over. Their 5th turnover, their first turnover of the second quarter, as that jumper is up and in.
I'll tell you, this Nicole Bick plays with a lot of confidence, Mike. Not afraid to take it coast to coast. Twice now. Great job by Nicole Bick.
She has 8, and YU trails by 8 as that shot by Passatoro is up, no good. And here comes YU once again. Bick taking it coast to coast and lays it up and in, and Dolphins need better defense than that, Dave.
She's been a highlight reel, Mike. I mean, Nicole Bick just making her own room, and as we have a jump ball here, this is going to go Yeshiva's way, but Nicole Bick is really putting up some good numbers and really a highlight reel type type of plays, just cutting and slicing through the CSI defense. I don't know if it's just the case where CSI is a little timid, Mike, on the inside, or a combination of the refs letting them play a little bit, but you could see the stat line, Bick, with 10 points here, but it's really been the way she has earned those 10 points that has just been really impressive.
YU on a 9-2 run, but they turn the ball over, and the Dolphins feed the ball ahead to Cray, who's able to lay it up and in. So big turnover that time by YU. They had an opportunity to cut it to a 6-point Dolphin lead. Instead, the lead back up to 8.
Yeah, the Dolphins, that's one of their bread and butter things, Mike, is points off of turnovers, and they got another 2 that time. As
that shot that time is going to be put up by Rosenberg, blocked by the Dolphins. They feed it ahead to Passatoro, and she lays it up and in, and that's been hurting YU all night long. They just don't balance the floor very well, and Dolphins have been able to take advantage of that. And they open their lead back to 10 now, 36-26. It's a 30-second timeout, so let's keep it right here, Dave. The Dolphins went on a 13-3 run to open a 13-point lead. YU came back with a 9-2 run, but now the Dolphins have scored the last 4, Dave.
Yeah, it's like a pendulum rotating back and forth here, and that last timeout, Yeshiva, I don't even think wanted one, and the officials said somebody called a timeout, so head coach Michael Alon got up and said, all right, I'll talk to my kids for a while here. You can take a look, the fast break. Mike mentioned it. It's been the transition and the speed of the Dolphins that's really hurting. You take those fast break points away, and it's a different game. You see, I'm sorry, Mike, you see a Yeshiva player at the end of the bench being tended to by the CSI training staff. I believe that's Adina Rosenberg, who's getting some attention. So if you're a Yeshiva fan, we'll try and get you some updates on Adina as she had come out of the game and is receiving some trainers' attention. You can see it on your screen there, and as we move towards half court.
So now it's YU with the basketball, as that's Rabin feeding the ball off to Algie. So Algie well behind the three-point line, guarded there by Tadero. Algie trying to drive her way inside. She kicks the ball to the baseline. That jumper is up, no good. And Callie's there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Callie looking to go coast to coast. Her layup is up, no good. And Algie is there to grab the rebound for the Maccabees.
Yeah, that time Callie has to make a decision whether she wants to go in hard or not at all. And that time she kind of was in no man's land. Here she has another opportunity. Let's see what she does.
Yeah, that was Finen who turned the ball over, and Callie drove down the lane, and her shot is going to be blocked, but she'll draw the foul, and she will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, and that time Jackie went in very strong, got the contact, gets a chance at the line. And this is what we talked about in the pregame, Mike. The Dolphins are going to find themselves at the line in the CUNY tournament. They got to do a good job here.
So Penny Rabin draws her second, and Jackie Callie hits the free throw, and the Dolphins open their lead back up to 11 with 5:08 remaining here in this first half.
And Brandwine will be the Yeshiva player to return, replacing Algie.
So Callie will go to the line. She'll have one more free throw upcoming here, as Callie's second free throw is up, no good, but Tadero is there to grab the rebound. Over to Passatoro. Her long three-pointer is up, no good. The ball is going to be knocked out of bounds, but it will remain Dolphin basketball, and Dolphins have been able to grab some offensive rebounds here so far tonight, Dave.
Yeah, that's a really nice sign for the Dolphins. That's their ability to get some second-chance points as well. Big rebound offensively by Diana Tadaro on that last shot. And
as that ball gets fed it to Callie, that ball hung on the rim but bounded out, but the Dolphins able to grab another offensive rebound. Callie, Passatoro, kicking the ball over the corner to Flecker. Her three-pointer is up, no good. But the Dolphins able to grab the rebound once again, and Dolphins really starting to out-rebound YU. Passatoro, her open three-pointer is good, so give the Dolphins enough opportunities, they're going to bury it, and the Dolphins have their biggest lead of the game.
Passatoro now 3 for 7 from beyond the arc.
Dolphins are now on an 8-0 run to open the lead back up to 14. Cone, a floater in the lane is up, no good. She grabs the rebound, puts it up, misses the shot, but draws the foul, and she'll go to the free throw line.
Yeah, you see the point total for Christina Passatoro, 18 points. Her season high this year was 33. We'll keep a watch on that. Her career high is 34. That was set last year.
Then, of course, Christina's high point game this year was that road game against MIT, Dave. And Dolphins played so well in that game on the road and, in between the Christmas and New Year's holiday, and had an opportunity for the win, but just couldn't bury that three-pointer in overtime.
Well, Mike, the Dolphins have 5 losses this season, and you can make the case that they shouldn't have lost any of them. I mean, they lost to a Division I Wagner College team that they went into the fourth quarter up by 7 points. They ended up losing that game. They were up by 16 at one point. They lost to MIT, a game where they were leading most of the way, ended up losing in overtime. They had a chance to win in regulation and in overtime. They had the ball in their hand as Cray with a beautiful basket there and drawing contact. And then, Mike, the other 3 losses was the loss against Brooklyn. And they fell behind by 29. They had a chance to tie with 30 seconds left at the line. They couldn't do it. And then, of course, the other 2 losses were forfeit losses, games that they actually won. So, listen, it's so hard to go 25-0 in a season, but this is a Dolphins team when these kids a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now look back at the season, they could realistically say, man, we could have went 25-0 in that regular season pretty easily too.
And, Dave, you start to look as Pasatoro grabs the ball off of the turnover and lays it up and in, and now the Dolphins have busted this lead open now to 18 points and have started to take a little bit of control in this game. A nice shot by Celia Cohn, the freshman, to draw YU back to within 16, but an opportunity maybe to start talking a little bit about this Kudiak tournament. The women actually play the second day, the opening round of the tournament, which will be this Sunday, Dave. The first couple of games, Lehman against Baruch, Hunter against CCNY. 2 pretty exciting quarterfinal games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think whoever wins the quarterfinal games are going to give the bye teams, Brooklyn and CSI, a good run. I mean, we know a team like Lehman, for example, that comes in as the 3 seed. If they win their game, they'll have to play CSI. That's another team, Mike, that every single year is in the semifinals. They're going to be well coached. There's a lot of players with a lot of familiarity on all of these teams, as CSI just continues to run it up here off of Yeshiva turnovers. But you're right, Mike, the opening round, the quarterfinals, 2 good games there on Sunday. And then, of course, the semifinals. CSI will play the second game of the semifinal round on Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. They will play either the winner of Lehman or Baruch. Of course, Lehman on paper heavily favored.
Yeah, and Baruch coming off of a nice upset win against Hunter College as well. So the Bearcats going in with a little bit of momentum as well. And although the women's tournament traditionally hasn't been as crazy as the men, where really any team could beat anybody, this kind of a year, Dave, where all 6 teams have at least a legitimate chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, Mike, that Brooklyn College, the top seed, they've only lost 2 CUNY games. One of them was to CSI. The other one was to Hunter College. And Hunter could very easily win their quarterfinal game, and that'll be a rematch of 2 teams that beat each other during the regular season. You don't see that often, where the number 1 seeded team is playing a team that they actually lost to during the regular season, as Tadaro will come out and McEwen will come in. So there's going to be a lot of subplots and plots to the women's bracket and the men's bracket as well. And it's always a fun time at City College. And, it's really going to be a wide open tournament, Mike. And, for the first time, for only the second time ever, but for the first time in a very long time, it'll be CSI, both teams looking to defend their crown.
Yeah, and, the men will actually play right here at the Tank, Dave, in a game this Saturday afternoon at 5:30 against Brooklyn College. And, boy, did the Dolphins take it right down to the wire. Eden Bracic with a big 3-pointer as the game was winding down. But Dolphins just couldn't keep Lehman out of the paint, and they were able to take the ball really almost right to the basket, Dave, to lay it in and get a very exciting 1-point win. And the CSI men's team lost to Lehman College twice, and both games they really could have really easily won both of those games.
Well, the first game was an overtime loss, if you remember, Mike. The Dolphins had a 2-point lead with less than 5 seconds left. Lehman hit a last-second shot at the buzzer to force overtime. They ended up beating the Dolphins in overtime here at CSI. And then, of course, at Lehman with a last-second basket, 1.2 seconds left, able to win that game by 1 point. So, yeah, I mean, when CSI, for some reason, Lehman has had I don't want to say an easier time against other schools, but CSI has really played Lehman the strongest of any of the other CUNY schools. And, Mike, the other team to really look out for is Baruch. I mean, they are the number 2 seed. They finished tied with CSI in the standings as McEwen hits from 3. They finished tied with CSI in the standings. They won via a tiebreaker out of conference head-to-head matchup tiebreaker. And, you know, Baruch is probably the hottest team in the CUNY going into the tournament. Even though Lehman's won 12 in a row, the way Baruch has been winning their games, pretty one-sided, including a big win over CSI on this floor.
Yeah, and, you know, and Baruch needed to win their last 2 games to secure that number 2 spot. And, you know, you got to give them a lot of credit, Dave. They really took care of business. They kind of blew out Medgar Evers in that first half and really had no problem in their game last night.
No, not at all. They got up early by double digits and kind of coasted the rest of the way. And defensively, Baruch has been easily the best team in the conference all season long. So if the Dolphins should win on Saturday, and it's no guarantee, if they win on Saturday against Brooklyn, a team that gave them a bit of problems in Brooklyn just a short time ago, CSI would be matched up against Baruch in the semifinals, and that's going to be one heck of a game. And we'll see how the Dolphins fare.
So the Dolphins in the middle of a 23-7 run where they opened up took a 6-point lead and have really expanded it now as they up their lead now to 27 and really have eliminated the doubt in this game and, you know, really gives head coach Tim Shanahan a lot of options for the second half, Dave.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, that's what they wanted. You know, the Dolphins, I think this might be their highest scoring half of the season, if I'm not mistaken. I don't believe they've ever hit 60, Mike, in a first half before, at least not this year. But in any event, they'll be comfortable in the second half. Like you said, it'll give Shanahan a lot of options, and we'll see how the Dolphins decide how much time they elect to give their starters.
Yeah, and you know, Dave, about 2 minutes or 3 minutes into this quarter, it was a 6-point game, so the Dolphins have just exploded on YU as we're going to have a whistle and a foul committed with 10.1 seconds remaining here in this first half, and the Dolphins have taken control of this game here. Christina Passatoro adding 22 points to her all-time CSI career scoring record.
And the Dolphins 38 points in this quarter. I mean, they have just been amping up that field goal percentage as well, Mike. They were shooting about 33% coming out of the first quarter. They were actually 8 of 23, so just over 33%. And in the second half, in the second quarter, 16 of 25 from the floor.
Yeah, Dolphins now with 34 of their 61 points in the paint. So the Dolphins with the basketball now, and 7 seconds remaining in the quarter. It's McEwen putting up the long three-pointer and burying it. So Megan now has 8, and the Dolphins will go into the half, Dave, in control of this one, up by 30.
Yep, 64-34 is our score at halftime. CSI in full control, Mike, almost like as we expected, and we'll see if the Dolphins can piece it together for another 20 minutes. We'll see how much time their starters get. We'll keep it here for a sec, Mike, to see if CSI head coach Tim Shanahan will elect to join us. Tim has not been feeling well, Mike, and actually in that game against Lehman College, he came out of the game and had to leave the bench area because he just hasn't been feeling well at all. And we obviously wish Tim the best. We'll see if he joins us or somebody else from the team joins us, Mike. But if they don't, the Dolphins are pretty comfortable here in these after a solid first 20 minutes.
And, you know, Dave, it's really interesting that when you talk to different people throughout the conference, how people feel about the bye. Some people want the bye and want to advance into the semifinals, and some coaches don't. And we'll have an opportunity to talk to head women's basketball coach Tim Shanahan, who's nice enough to join us here at halftime. And coach, the team led by just 6 points, 32-26, but you guys exploded at the end of that second quarter, really to go into halftime with a 30-point lead.
Well, I just told them to wake up. They were playing. Listen, I told them these kids are going to come out. They're going to play. They're going to play hard. The Skyline's a tough conference. They had a game last night, and these kids leave it on the court. They really do.
Plug it in.
And I told them, wake up, do what you got to do, play our game, stop being controlled. And they did it for a little while. So I'm happy that I got the response that I got. But it took me like 2 or 3 times to get that response, which is a little concerning for me.
Coach, you have about 20 minutes of play left before you get ready for the Cuniac tournament. Your game will take place next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. What are you looking for from the ladies here in this second half?
Well, just play more consistent. I'd rather pick it up on defense. Defense, everybody talks about our scoring. Our scoring's due strictly to our defense. I tell them this all the time. The fast breaks, the things that go on. Their defense, when they clamp down on teams, overplaying, the wings, helping out, jumping on the switches a lot quicker than we are, things that I'm not seeing so much tonight. Staying down too far in the lane instead of stepping up and stopping the ball. That's the things we have to do. That's what makes us win.
Good luck in the second half, Coach, and good luck in the Cuniac tournament.
Thank you.
That's head women's basketball coach Tim Shanahan. Nice enough to come over and join us here at halftime, Dave. And, team getting ready to roll. We didn't really ask him about Angelique Price, and that's probably the one concern you have heading into next week.
Well, Mike, if it's a concern, let's alleviate it. We did get an update on Angelique. It's strictly precautionary, kind of lingering stuff that goes on through the season. But the Dolphins kind of treated this like an off workout day for her. So she's going to be just fine, and that's good news for the Dolphins.
So we're at halftime here. The Dolphins in control of this game, 64-34. We'll step aside, we'll take a break, and then we'll be back to bring you halftime statistics and get you ready for the start of the second half as you're watching women's basketball coverage exclusively on your voice of CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Alvin and the Chipmunks want to remind you, bacteria can hide in food and make you ill.
Wow.
But you can keep bacteria from ruining your day with 4 simple steps. Clean.
I'm waiting for the ring cycle.
Separate. Cook.
Fire in the hole!
And chill.
We chipmunks are notoriously tidy.
Check your steps. The road trip to food safety starts at foodsafety.gov.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Alvin and the Chipmunks want to remind you, bacteria can hide in food and make you ill.
Wow.
But you can keep bacteria from ruining your day with 4 simple steps. Clean.
I'm waiting for the ring cycle.
Separate. Cook.
Fire in the hole!
And chill.
We chipmunks are notoriously tidy.
Check your steps. The road trip to food safety starts at foodsafety.gov.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
We're back here at the Tank. The College of Staten Island taking control of this game, leading by a score of 64-34. While you did a pretty good job keeping the game close, able to draw within 6 a couple of times, Dave, even 6 with possession of the basketball, but that's as close as they could come.
Yeah, and it's like Tim Shanahan said when he met with us, Mike, as you see the stats on your screen, the Dolphins really had to up the defensive pressure, and you see that final line there with the turnovers. Dolphins were able to generate a lot of turnovers and get points off of those turnovers, which was big. And you look at the rebounding column, Mike, that's a recipe for disaster. If CSI is forcing you into 14 turnovers and they're winning the rebounding battle, it's going to be very, very tough. And combine that with the fact that the Dolphins have 14 more shots and they're shooting 51%. Well, that's the reason why the Dolphins have themselves a 64-34 lead. That score is incorrect there, Bob. Dolphins are only up by 30 at this point. But the bottom line is, Mike, the Dolphins are firing on all cylinders. I'm not quite sure if 64 is their high. It is definitely for a first half. I'm not sure about the second half, but either way, Mike, the Dolphins are on pace for 128 points, which would be, I think, a record here at CSI. I think they'll tone it down a little bit. I think they'll call off the horses. I think there'll be a lot of substitutions here in this second half. But either way, Mike, the Dolphins statistically just doing their job here against Yeshiva.
Yeah, and for the Dolphins, Dave, it's really all about getting ready for next Wednesday night. And, we didn't have a chance to talk to head coach Tim Shanahan about it, but, it's interesting. Some coaches want to buy, Dave, and some coaches don't.
Yeah, and you know what, Mike? I think that there's a cause to celebrate it and a cause not to sometimes. I think sometimes when you're a red-hot team, you hate that layoff, especially if the Dolphins if they didn't have this game against Yeshiva, they'd be a red-hot team with no one really to play for 12 days, and that's dangerous. That makes for complacency, some lethargy, and the bottom line is that's why a game like this helps. And you know what, Mike? You said it, I think, to me off the air when we started. When you have a bye, there's no way you can lose. So sometimes it's a little bit of a gift. I think I think for the CSI women, it definitely is a good thing to buy because that an early round quarterfinal matchup probably wouldn't be in CSI's best interest. They're not playing a team really that has a real good chance to put a good test into them. So perhaps a bye is the best thing. Gives you a chance to rest up. For the CSI men, you sure would have liked to seen the bye, Mike. I hate the quarterfinals because on the men's side, anybody can really win. 40 minutes is a chance for anybody to upset anyone on the men's side. It's a dangerous game. CSI has beaten Brooklyn twice already. We always hear in the NFL how hard it is for a team to beat another team 3 times in the same season. It's pretty much the same for CUNY basketball. So sure the CSI men's team would have loved to buy. They didn't get one, but it's going to be in a good game on Saturday.
Dave, let's spend a couple of minutes talking about the men's basketball team, why we have a chance here. You know, we had the announcement of head coach Tony Petosa resigning, you know, really just a couple of months before the beginning of the season. And TJ Tibbs stepped in as a first-year Dolphin head coach, and really has done a tremendous job with this basketball team. Dave.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? It wasn't easy for TJ because not only to take over for Tony, who's been such a legendary coach here at CSI, but, you know, also knowing that you're walking in not with an opportunity to really recruit for this season. So every player that you're inheriting is it being inherited from a different coach, and recruits that are coming in expecting to play for one person and is playing for somebody else. So to try and get that kind of buy-in, you know, he didn't get it from everybody, Mike. You know, Kevon Murphy is a good example of a player who I think would have had an outstanding season this year with his height, with his reach, with his moves in the low post. But he didn't, you know, he wasn't ready to give the commitment to TJ Tibbs and this Dolphins team for whatever reasons he had. So, you know, TJ was up against it, and the job that he did in his first season, I don't care about how many wins he has, how many losses, what seed he got. I think the fact that there was 13, 14, 15 players on this Dolphins team that really kind of bought into what he was doing, his style of basketball. Dolphins are always ready to play. They're a kind, courteous bunch of kids, and doing the right thing in the classroom for the most part. Dolphins did lose a couple of faces during midseason, and you hate to see that. But TJ's running himself a really good program here. He's an interim, so I can't say much more about that as an administrator here. But I think he's doing a fine job.
And, you know, Dave, you look at the CSI Dolphin team, and you mentioned they lost a couple of key players off the bench, Rudy Lavacheur and Darryl Bryant, a couple players the Dolphins were counting on. But the Dolphins have just gotten fantastic play out of Adeola Latunji and Christian Taylor. And Adeola kind of hit like a midseason slump a little bit, Dave, but seems to be coming out of it a little bit heading down the stretch. And for the Dolphins to be successful in this tournament, they need points from Adeola Latunji.
You said it, Mike. I think, you know, so Christian Taylor and Adeola Latunji go, so too do the CSI Dolphins. Dolphins have a really good supporting cast. They got, you know, Stephen Flagg, they got Eden Brocic, they got Ray Savage, guys who on any given night can put you over the top. But the base has to be there, Mike, and the base is Christian Taylor and Adeola Latunji. They don't have to give you 20, 25 points, 10, 15 rebounds, but they've got to be steady. They've got to give you 16, 17 for you to have success. Plus, one of the other guys, the Stephen Flaggs, the Ray Savages, the Eden Brocic, when they have big games. And, Mike, you know, don't take our word for it. Take a look at the stats. You look at games where the Dolphins get, you know, 16, 17 from both Christian and Adeola, and somebody else gives you 15 or 20, the Dolphins are undefeated. They just can't be beaten. And that's what the Dolphins need. They need consistency from those two guys. And, Mike, we can't forget, too, this is, with the exception of Eden and Ray, this is a very, very young Dolphins team. This is a Dolphins team that head coach TJ Tibbs thinks that 2 years from now, a lot of those close losses are going to turn into wins, and this could really be a 21-win team in a couple of years. That's a bold statement for someone like TJ to make, but I know he believes in it. I know these kids believe in it, and I think the Dolphins are a team that's for real. They're going to make some noise in the playoffs and going forward from there.
And the Dolphins finished the regular season with a 14-11 record overall, including 12-4 in the conference. And, you know, a couple of plays that have really started to turn the corner a little bit and start to heat up again. Eden Brocic has shot a little bit better from the three-point line, and Stephen Flagg, who you also mentioned, Dave, who struggled a little bit offensively prior to the last two games, really played so much better in the last two games for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and he's really improved on his three-point shooting, Mike, too. And your guy like Stephen Flagg, you're always worried about him penetrating, getting to the hole, playing above the rim. But then when he could spot up and shoot the three, now he's just added a whole nother level to his game where opponents don't know whether to give him some room or whether to play him up top. And if he can utilize that, you know, I've always thought, I think coming in, I think we even said it on the air, that Stephen Flagg was going to be the X factor on this team because he's a guy who's kind of flown under the radar his first couple of years here. He'd give you 5 or 6 points every now and then, but really this was going to be his coming out party, and I think he's done that for the Dolphins.
So the Dolphins lead this game by 30. The men's team will be in action this Saturday at 5:30, a game we will have for you on CSI Sportsnet. Pregame show will begin at 5 o'clock, Dave, as the Dolphins try to play their way to CCNY.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a fun time. We'll have the game here, pregame 5 o'clock, tip-off 5:30. And we'll hope that at the end of 40 minutes, the Dolphins will have punched their ticket to the semis. But either way, we know we'll be treated to a good one.
So the Dolphins with possession of the basketball here, and they get off to a good start here in the second half as Flecker buries the three-pointer. She now has 8. And the Dolphins comfortably in control of this one.
Yeah, 8 with 6 rebounds as well for Sam. She's now 3 of 7 from the floor.
YU with the basketball as that's Cone. Cone working the ball up over in the corner to Bick, and I think Nicole Bick really played a good first half for the Maccabees, Dave, as we have a collision that time as it's number 34 for the Maccabees, who just checked into the game, Nikema Debitzer, who just collided with a Dolphin player, and fortunately both players okay, and somehow Samantha Flecker got called for the foul, Dave.
She just looked at her coach and like, huh? I got railroaded.
She got run into and picked up her third personal.
And what was interesting, Mike, is that Nakama, actually apologized to Samantha Flecker as they both were getting up. So she kind of knew what she did, but call went against the Dolphins.
As a nice give and go inside as Cray drives the ball to the basket and lays it up and in. She now has 9 as the Dolphins have hit 69 points here so far today.
And I'll tell you what, Mike, we're able to kind of, chuckle it off. But if you're Tim Shanahan, if you're a fan of this CSI Dolphins team, you look at that last spill on the floor and you're thankful that Samantha Flecker just got up and kind of shook it off and smiled. But that could have been awfully dangerous.
Tadero, as the Dolphins nearly turn the ball over, now works the ball over to Passatoro. And the Dolphins look to set up offensively here. 90 seconds into this second half. Dolphins in control of this one as they play their final regular season game. And to get to 20 wins, Dave, out of 25 games, a very solid performance by this Dolphin team. And really what the team was looking for coming into the season.
Yeah, like I said, and then you take away those 2 forfeits, and this is one of the best regular seasons the Dolphins have ever had. Probably, rivals that of the 2005-06 season when Jacqueline Rock's senior season, Marguerite Moran, the coach at the time, where the Dolphins went into the second round of the NCAAs, the first round bye and a home game. They ended up losing to Wesleyan, but that was probably one of their best seasons or the best season ever. This one's going to rival that.
Yeah, and, you talk to the ladies on this team, Dave, and, they're really looking forward for an opportunity to compete in the CUNYAC Conference and try to make their mark regionally and nationally here in this tournament.
Yeah, you know what? The Dolphins have a really good supporting system behind them. A lot of parents, a lot of friends who are here every single time. And on that note, Mike, I just want to say a big shout-out to the CSI baseball team, head coach Mike Morrow and his unit watching this game. Wanted a shout-out. We gave it to him. But, honestly, Mike, just the fact that a lot of the CSI baseball team and their coaches are watching this game, it just goes to show you that it's been a family atmosphere with this team. A lot of people behind them and supporting them. We know the fans will be there at CCNY, and looking forward to a really, really great run.
Yeah, and, it was a little bit warmer today than it has been, Dave. We saw the softball team working out on the field here today. And, you mentioned Mike Morrow and the baseball team, and we're not that far away from pitches and catches, Dave. They're already out there playing, and we're going to be out there with some regular season broadcasts pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. The Dolphins were very lucky to get outside today, throw it around a little bit. I know with our baseball and softball teams, it's frustrating, Mike, because there's a lot of programs, out in the South, the Midwest, and on the West Coast that they're already 10 games into their season already, and the Dolphins haven't even gone outside and practiced yet. So always a good sign when it's 50 degrees out here in February.
So the Dolphins with their big lead here is that outside three-pointer by Passatore will be buried, and she's up to 25 now, Dave.
Yeah, 25. Remember her season high 33. certainly looks like she'll challenge her previous high.
As that long three-pointer by Bick is no good, and now Callie is there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. She gets it up the floor now to Passatoro, and you mentioned, Dave, that all of the CUNYAC teams in both the men's and women's division playing yesterday except for the Dolphins. So Dolphins with a regular season game here today, and for the men, they'll be in action Saturday, so they'll have a layoff of just a week before going into their CUNYAC tournament game.
Yeah, like I said, just a simple dumb luck of the draw that the Dolphins got the bye on the last game, so they've been idle for a little bit of time. We'll see if it serves the men well or not. And I think the other kind of storyline, Mike, for the men's tournament is that CSI Dolphin men's basketball team has not played well at home, especially against the CUNY Conference. They were 7-1 on the road, and they were just, I believe, 5-3 at home. So Dolphins looking, although one of those wins was against Brooklyn, Dolphins looking to win on their home court.
Yeah, and that Brooklyn College and the Dolphins, just like these bitter rivals, Dave, and you can kind of throw the statistics out the window when these two teams meet. And in watching the two games, the Dolphins did win both games handily when you look at the final score. But if you look at the games themselves, they were a little bit closer than what the final score indicated.
Yeah, especially just I guess it was a little over a week or so ago when they played at Brooklyn. Brooklyn, that game, that was a 4 or 5 point game. Midway through the third period, Dolphins went up ahead. Brooklyn made a run as the Dolphins get a substitution timeout. Passatoro and Cray and Flecker stay in, but it is Zerpolo coming in along with Brianna Rabisky. So Callie's day perhaps done. Tadaro's day perhaps done.
As Daniela making her first appearance of the afternoon for the Dolphins, as you look at the points in the paint, 42-16 in favor of the Dolphins. And, those are the kind of numbers that usually lead to a lot of success, Dave.
Oh, yeah, without question.
Dolphins with 83 points here so far in the game today. They're high on the year, 104 points back on December 2nd on the road against John Jay, as YU hits a rare three-pointer, and 83-39. 3:30 remaining in the quarter as the Dolphins turn the ball over. Driving down the lane and laying the ball up and in will be Baltax as the Dolphins turn the ball over and now bring the ball up across the midcourt line. Zerpolo. Back out to Cray. Cray's open jumper is good. So Cray now with 16 on the afternoon, and she's had a couple of strong offensive games, Dave, and she's another player that could score a lot more, but that's not what Tim Shanahan asked her to do.
No, absolutely. Just more of a, grunt work type player, and always doing the little things, the dirty work. And, again, Mike, a lot of different roles for a lot of different players on this team. They all fit very uniquely, and they've been playing together for a long time as well.
As the ball worked in the corner, and the open three-pointer by Passatoro is good. So she's up to 28 here now, Dave. 88-41 the score. As that runner in the lane that time by Bick is up no good. Dolphins control the rebound as Zerpolo gets the ball forward now. Over to Cray. We're going to have a whistle and another substitution timeout as Passatoro will go to the bench, and Samantha Flecker will as well, Dave, and I don't think we're going to see either of those two plays again here tonight.
I would doubt it. And I think that's a good call for Tim Shanahan. I know a lot of people in the building want to see Christina kind of go off and put up gaudy numbers, but the health of your players is the most important in a game like this. I think CSI has proved their point both on the scoreboard and strictly to get their good basketball in. They've done that, and now it's time to let others play.
So now it's YU with the basketball as they work the ball around the perimeter now with 15 seconds to shoot, as that jumper is up no good as Cone misses, and the rebound grabbed, and it's McEwen bringing the ball up across the midcourt line. So 4 substitutes on the floor for the Dolphins, as it's Perrone, Zappolo, Rubinski, McEwen on the floor with Victoria Cray, as we're going to have a whistle and a foul inside. That will be on Algie. That will be her third. And it's only going to be the first team foul. Just one team foul apiece here, Dave, in this third quarter.
Referees letting them play, obviously. No one wants to make a lot of fouls in a game that's, a 49-pointer right now. Dolphins just completely running away with it.
Dolphins' next game will take place on the floor of the Nat Holman Gymnasium. And, Dave, we've talked about it before. It's a different kind of gym for the ladies and the guys to play in because of all of the space between the baskets and the walls.
Yeah, the perspective or the perception, the optics of the gym are not ideal for shooters. Obviously you have a transparent glass, and a very, very deep, baseline, obviously, and. Everybody on CSI always says it's a tough place to play basketball. But that being said, the Dolphins have a lot of experience there, and that's where I think CSI, let's say the women's team, Mike, has a bigger advantage over Brooklyn's team, even though Brooklyn is the top seed, because the Dolphins now, their crux of their team are their seniors, and they have a lot of experience having played there before. So I think CSI will be the more relaxed, or probably the most relaxed team on that court on the women's side. The men's side may be a little different, but on the women's side, I think CSI should play best there because they have a lot more experience there, maybe second to the actual hosts of CCNY.
So YU with the basketball now with 10 seconds to shoot as the short jumper in the lane by Brandwine is good. So the Dolphins with the basketball now and about a 4-second differential on the shot clock to the game clock. McEwen over to Cray. She gets the ball up over to Zappolo. They look to feed it inside to Rubinski, but the ball's going to be stolen away as Cohn working the ball in the corner, and the open jumper is good. As Rabin hits the open jumper, YU looking pretty good offensively on their last couple of possessions. Zappolo's runner in the lane is up, no good, and YU with the rebound and an opportunity to close the quarter on a 7-0 run. But they're unable to get the ball to the basket. 3 quarters in the books. The Dolphins doubling up the Maccabees by a score of 90-45. We'll step aside and take a break. 3 quarters in the books. You're watching women's basketball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
One-on-One is an independently owned and operated physical therapy center since 1999.
One-on-One has multiple offices located in Staten Island and in Brooklyn.
One-on-One has been getting people back to living pain-free for almost 14 years.
The number one goal of One-on-One is to provide quality health care for our community and continue to strive to be the best in our field.
One-on-one physical therapy gets our clients back to work, back to play, and back to function as soon as possible. We help them reclaim their life.
We're back, 3 quarters in the books. The Dolphins lead 90-45, and another substitution here for the Dolphins, Dave, as Ilana DeMontro checking in for the Dolphins.
Yeah, absolutely. So now no CSI starters any longer in the game as we have Zappolo traveling on that play.
So Zappolo gets called for the travel, and Zappolo, a freshman for the Dolphins, had a pretty good year in soccer as well, Dave. Another multi-sport player for the CSI Dolphins.
Yeah, and Tim Shanahan was very vocal and thankful for Giuseppe Panetti, for the head women's soccer coach at the time, recruiting Zappolo and getting her here. Also a good basketball player, and again, Mike, what you're seeing on the court now for the Dolphins, this is the future of CSI basketball. Obviously, they'll add some pieces this offseason, but really no seniors in the game, and Rosa Perone, the most experienced on the floor.
Yeah, Dave, and with this being the final home game for a lot of these Dolphins, maybe perhaps we can spend a couple of minutes talking about some of the seniors. And Victoria Cray, a three sport star, not a 2-sport star with the Dolphins, in addition to all of her other extracurricular activity.
Yeah, she ran cross country. She obviously is a gold medal swimmer who won a gold medal at the CUNY Championship just a couple of weekends ago, and she's been doing that. And remember, she was a transfer, so this is actually her 4th year with the Dolphins, but only 3rd as a player. She had a very tough knee injury one of the years, but battled back and has played the last 2 years on a reconstructed knee. And when you're the point guard and you've had that kind of happen, it could take a lot out of you. But Victoria is also the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So she's all over the place and a jack of all. And then, of course, you got the another senior, Angelique Price, who's also been on the team for 3 years, community college transfer, came in as a sophomore and has had a great career here. And then, of course, you have the 2 4-year seniors in Flecker and Passatoro, Mike, who 5 years from now we'll be talking about them again when they're enshrined into the Hall of Fame. Maybe together, maybe separately, who knows, but 2 surefire bets for Hall of Fame in a few years.
Yeah, and you talk about Christina Passatoro, Dave. What could you say? All the scoring record she has for the Dolphins, and her and Sam, of course, 2 of the big reasons that the Dolphins have pretty big expectations heading into this CUNYAC tournament and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. And, without a doubt, they want to finish their career right at the very top of their game. And, if you've had conversations with Christina, and I know you have, Mike, throughout the year, it's not a disrespect to the CUNY conference, but she's been talking all year long about winning in the NCAAs. I mean, that's what these seniors want. That's what they've had earmarked all year. If they don't win the CUNY and don't get a chance to go to the championship, it's going to be a really huge letdown for them. But you love to see players who have that sort of mentality and want more and more every single year, and that's what they've wanted. And the other thing you can add with Passatoro, Mike, too, is that for all the points she scored, people will see in over 2,100 points and all that, but she's also the active career assist leader for this team, and she has led this team in assists every single year she's been on the team. So as much as she shoots it and as much as she scores, she distributes just as often. If she took half the shots that she passed up on, God only knows how many points she'd have by now.
So DiMaggio gets the basket for the Dolphins. She now has 5 as the Dolphins creep toward the century mark here with 6 minutes and 50 seconds remaining here in this second half, as that bank shot is up and in. So YU breaks the 50-point mark. It's 94-50, 6:35 remaining.
Dolphins have scored over 100 points twice this season. The last time was against York, a game that they subsequently forfeited, Mike. They ended up winning that game 101-62. And they also scored 104 points way back earlier in the season, December 2nd, at John Jay, in what was I believe their first CUNY game of the season. It was.
So Mbesi gets her first basket and grabs the rebound now as the clock winds down to 6 minutes. And what will be the final women's home game on the schedule here for the Dolphins.
Mike, the Dolphins' all-time record for points in a game is 112. So although you don't want that to be a goal here, it's certainly feasible.
As we have a whistle and a foul on the play, as we have a pretty quickly played second half here, the Dolphins in control of this one. And it's hard to believe, Dave, that another season, another regular season in the books.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we were talking just the other day upstairs about how in a couple of weeks the basketball season will be completely over. We'll be knee-deep in spring sports. This is what's known as crossover season for us communications people in the field, and we don't get a big crossover because, as you see the shooting on your screen, because the weather is so bad in the Northeast, it doesn't give baseball and softball a chance to play this early. But for all intents and purposes, right now we'd be kind of kicking off the spring.
Yeah, and both the men's and women's softball and baseball team, very lofty expectations, Dave, heading into the 2018 season.
Yeah, and it's still in the preliminary stages, but the CUNY Athletic Conference is looking to work with another conference in the region to pair up and get themselves an NCAA automatic bid in time for next year, not this year, but in 19, 20, and 21. It would be a 3-year deal, and so there's a lot of excitement and a lot of buzz setting around the baseball program. And then, Mike, when you have the 5-time defending softball champions and a team that's won NCAA games now at the national level, softball's always going to be one of the marquee sports here. Head coach Stella Porto is going to have her work cut out for her after this year. She'll lose another couple of big pitchers on her team, but they graduated Jackie Catella, who is on her way to a Hall of Fame in a few years, and Dolphins will look to be right back, in the thick of it.
Yeah, and there's a Dolphin softball team that has a little bit of unfinished business, Dave. They went through the CUNYAC division and they rolled through the conference the way they usually do, and they went into the NCAA tournament, and they went up to Massachusetts and won that first game at Williams, and boy, they looked good. They took an early lead in the second game and went into the third game and played a back-and-forth game before ending up dropping a heartbreaker in extra innings in that one.
Yeah, and you know what? It always comes down to like a walk or an error in those kind of big games. And, the Dolphins softball is one of those sports, Mike, that, it's – I don't want to say it's the same teams every year, but there are powerhouses that are there every single year. And it's been a while. It's taken the Dolphins a little bit of time, but they're not considered one of those teams. They're now considered one of those teams that you kind of expect to be there, and now it's taken a few years, but they're kind of turning that page and becoming a team that not just expects to be there now, they expect to win while they're there. And, it takes time. It takes generations of recruiting classes, but it is working in the Dolphins' favor.
Yeah, so the Dolphins coming in loaded, and they'll get ready for action, and they'll actually have a couple of games, Dave, weather permitting, in that first weekend in March.
Yeah, absolutely. NYU is coming in. FDU is coming in. Kind of a tri-match of sorts, but in softball. And, should be interesting. But, of course, Mike, every time softball and baseball season roll around, we have 10 or 12 games scheduled for March, and usually we don't get to play any of them. So we're very, very tempered when it comes to talking about March schedule with our spring sports.
So a fight for the rebound, and we're going to have a jump ball with 3 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the game. The Dolphins taking control of this one in the second quarter. They lead by a score of 97-55, and a 20-win regular season is a very strong performance, especially, Dave, when as you mentioned before, if you take a look at the losses, Dolphins could have actually had much more than 20 wins.
Listen, I think if you take out the 2 forfeits and the games that the Dolphins lost, one of them doesn't count at all because it was a game against an NCAA Division I in Wagner, but you can look at this team and say this should be 25-0 right now. They should have won. They should have beaten Wagner. They had a really, really good chance to beat MIT twice in regulation and in overtime. And then, of course, the loss to Brooklyn, a game where the wheels kind of came off in the third quarter, and they still almost won. It's just it was tough luck. This Dolphins team is, I think, every bit as good as the 26-3 team of 2004-05 under Marguerite Moran. A different kind of team by all accounts, but this is a pretty good unit right here.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, Dave, how the CUNYAC division fares regionally. Brooklyn coming off of a very strong regular season, as are the Dolphins. It'll be interesting to see when the team gets put into the tournament, what level of seeding they might get.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Mike, because the East region, if you look at the NCAA rankings, the East region is pretty weak this year. I mean, the Skyline is I don't want to say weak, but they're not as strong as they used to be. The NJAC is definitely not as strong as it was in previous years. So it's allowed the opportunity for the CUNY to have not one but 2 regionally ranked teams. And even Hunter, Mike, was ranked at number 8. So really it's kind of an anomaly. You're just not used to seeing that. But absolutely, Mike, if the Dolphins make the championship and lose, they will absolutely be in the discussion for an at-large bid. I'm not saying they'll get it, but they'll be in the discussion. And, Mike, you could bet dollars to donuts that never happens, ever in the CUNY. You lose the championship, you're not going to the NCAAs in women's basketball. This year it'll be a little bit different because you have a couple of really strong teams at the top.
You really do, but, if you're the CSI Dolphins, you want to make sure you take care of your own business and don't leave anything in doubt. And, how great would it be, Dave, though, if the conference could get an at-large team into the NCAA tournament? Like you said, really unprecedented.
Yeah, really, especially on the women's side. It just does not happen. And really, it hasn't deserved to happen in a lot of years. But this year could be the year, Mike. And again, we'd rather see the automatic bid come for this team. Let Brooklyn worry about getting the at-large or one of the other teams, Hunter and Lehman, et cetera. But no, I mean, it's good for the conference, though, because they're making their mark.
Yeah, and, it'll also just be interesting to see, if they get a decent seed. And, last year's seeding really not that bad for the Dolphins, Dave, and they did a pretty good job in their first tournament appearance.
Yeah, Christopher Newport was a tough opening round game, especially on the road. But the bottom line is the Dolphins, they weren't predicted to really win that game with good reason. Christopher Newport, another one of those teams, Mike, that's there every single year. But this year will be different. The Dolphins are ranked second in the region this week. Brooklyn in the 4. Hunter has dropped out. We expected that, but still right behind Montclair State in the East region and definitely making some noise.
Boy, Dave, you would think if the Dolphins could go through this tournament and win, they should get themselves a pretty good seeding in the tournament.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And by then, Mike, they'd been – they would have added 3 more wins to what we're seeing here on the regional rankings list.
Boy, I don't want to see a road game against Amherst in game number 1, Dave.
Oh, you and me both.
So Dolphins with the basketball now. 1 minute remaining in the game. The Dolphins leading 101-61 as Watson puts the ball on the floor. And we're going to have a whistle and a foul away from the ball. So the Dolphins will get to inbound with just under a minute remaining. And, Dave, in our last minute or so with our women's broadcast here tonight, the Dolphins and head coach Tim Shanahan have to be pretty happy with the way the regular season is concluding.
Yeah, I think so. I think you came in knowing that you were a top-heavy team. Your seniors were going to have to lead and take charge, and that's exactly what they did. There were some records to be had by Christina Passatoro. She got all of those that she wanted, and by all accounts, just a very successful season. Mike, did the Dolphins freshman class kind of take a huge step forward and make it enough of an impact? Maybe not. But the bottom line is they did enough. That's the thing. They've done enough. And, this Dolphins team is primed and ready and focused for another return to a championship. And they're going to do it on the heels of a huge win here in the regular season finale.
So the Dolphins will up their record and pick up their 20th win here today to go against 5 losses. They will be back in action Wednesday night in the second game of the CUNYAC tournament at the Nat Holman Gymnasium. Stay tuned to CSI Sportsnet and CSIDolphins.com, I should say, for all the latest broadcast information regarding that game. And then big game Saturday, Dave, for the men's basketball team right here at the Tank.
Yeah, tentatively our final Sportsnet broadcast for basketball will be this quarterfinal game against Brooklyn. So we hope you'll join us for that. 5 o'clock pregame, 5:30 tip-off. 101-62 is going to be our final here, Mike. The Dolphins successful in their season finale.
So the Dolphins go on and win their 20th regular season game, defeating Yeshiva University by a final score of 101-62. And, Dave, the Dolphins embraced their ability to get into the tournament and play well and advance into the tournament, and it served them well, and they've had a great regular season here so far this year.
Absolutely, as Christina Passatoro is going to join us in just a sec, Mike. What's up, kid?
Hello.
Christina, congratulations. The team wins 20 regular season games this year, and you're getting ready for the tournament this Wednesday night. What is the team going to do between now and next Wednesday?
A lot of preparing because we definitely made a lot of mistakes. a few games ago, and that's one of the possible opponents we're going to be facing. So definitely a lot of preparation, a lot of mental preparation.
You know, Christina, the team struggled a little bit at the end of the regular season last year, and really took off from that point forward, and really have embraced going back into the CUNYAC tournament and into the NCAA tournament. And now you guys are 2 games away from getting back to where you're looking to go. It looks like Lehman or Baruch will be your first opponent next Wednesday night.
Yeah, hopefully the stronger finish this season is just a better sign than last year. We go further, I hope, but same preparation, same work has to go into it. You know, it's really not easy to repeat, so we got to get through the semifinals before we go anywhere.
And Chris, the last one for me, you've been talking since the beginning of the year about not just winning the CUNY championships, but really advancing deep into the NCAAs and making some noise, putting this team on a national map. Tell me a little bit, now that you're done with your home portion of your career, you know, what that motivation is now to get deep into the NCAAs.
But definitely CUNY championships first thing on our list, you know, not bypassing that, but I'd like to play basketball for the rest of my life, so I only have a possible longest, I don't know how many games, but I'd like to keep it going as long as possibly can.
Well, Chris, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure watching you play these last 4 years here at the Tank, but we look forward to a great week upcoming with you guys. Congratulations on everything that you've done for your career, and hope you keep rolling.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So that was Christina Passatoro coming off of another 25-point game here for the Dolphins here tonight, Dave. And, you know, Dolphins really came out, did what they needed to do, put this game away early. And, you know, now it's a question of getting ready for a one-and-done tournament, Dave. And, you know, we know anything can happen when you get into those kind of games.
Yeah, you know, we just finished saying how impressive it is to finish 20-5. Well, the Dolphins' record just went back down to 0-0, Mike, and now it's time for playoffs, and you could throw everything that's been done in the regular season out the window. Obviously, it means a lot, but for these young gals here, they're looking to go and capture a championship, and it's going to be in the next 10 days. So, you know, strap them up. Let's get ready for some playoffs, and we'll start right here on Saturday with the men.
So the CSI women advance into the semifinal round of the Nat Holman Gymnasium. That will take place this Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. The men will be in action in a big quarterfinal game that will take place against Brooklyn College. The pregame show on CSI Sportsnet at 5 o'clock, opening tip at 5:30 as the Dolphins look to advance into the semifinal round on the men's side as well. So for Dave Pizzuto, this is Mike Babusky saying so long. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, our next broadcast will take place this Saturday, the quarterfinals in the CUNYAC tournament as the men face Brooklyn College. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you this Saturday for CUNYAC basketball right here on CSI Sportsnet.